How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, March 5th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Thursday, March 4th, and of course, I'm going to review everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. With the MLB and spring training and the NFL season over, this is the last game of NBA basketball before All-Star Weekend. And jumping into what was going on last night, starting with the only primetime performance of the night, the New Orleans Pelicans went on to host the Miami Heat in New Orleans, and in this matchup, the Miami Heat would end up beating the Pelicans 103-93. In this matchup, the Miami Heat would end up outscoring the Pelicans by 16 points in the first quarter, and they rode that momentum virtually through the end of the game. For the New Orleans Pelicans in this matchup, their elite starting small forward, Brandon Ingram, would finish with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals in 32 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 3 from the line. And their elite starting small forward, Zion Williamson, did not play due to something going on with his right toe, but I do believe he will be active this weekend for the All-Star weekend. And for the Miami Heat in this matchup, their elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, would finish with 29 points. That would lead the team and the game, as he also finished with 30 rebounds, 29 points. He had 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals in 34 minutes as he shot 10 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the three-point line. With this win, the Miami Heat are now 18-18. That is the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference. In the playoff picture, they are now half a game behind the 5th place New York Knicks, and they are half a game ahead of the 7th place Charlotte Hornets, as they have won 7 of their last 3 games as a team, and now they find themselves in the playoff picture. And they also sit 6 full games behind the Philadelphia 76ers. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are 15-21. That ties them with the Oklahoma City Thunder for the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. As right now, the Pelicans have lost their last 2 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They currently sit 4 games out of the playoff picture looking in as well, and they sit 12 full games behind the first place Utah Jazz within the Western Conference. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Celtics hosted the Toronto Raptors, and in this game, the Celtics would beat the Raptors 132-125 after outscoring Toronto by 13 points in the third quarter, carrying that momentum. For the Toronto Raptors in this matchup, their elite starting point guard Kyle Lowry would finish with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 19 assists in 40 minutes, as Lowry shot 5 for 18 from the field, 3 for 11 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Off the bench, there's shooting guard, I believe Terrence Davis, would finish with 22 points, as he will go on to play 32 minutes, as he also had 4 assists on the day. He shot 8 for 14 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the line. Their starting shooting guard, Norman Powell, would finish with 25 points and 2 steals, as well as 6 personal fouls in 37 minutes, as Powell shot 7 for 17 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the foul line before he fouled out. And then the leading scorer for the Raptors would come off the bench as their power forward, Chris Boucher, would finish with 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 fouls, as yet another Toronto Raptor fouled out for the game. In 35 minutes, Boucher would shoot 11 for 15 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. For the Boston Celtics in this matchup, their elite starting point guard, Kemba Walker, would finish with 15 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 34 minutes, as Kemba Walker shot 4 for 11 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the line. Their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, would finish with 21 points and 7 rebounds in 34 minutes, as the first-time All-Star also shot 4 for 11 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and he shot 11 for 16 from the foul line. The leading scorer for the Boston Celtics would be their elite starting small forward out of Duke, Jason Tatum, who finished with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. Tatum shot 9 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 6 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 19-17. Looking down in the Eastern Conference, that is the 4th best record in the entire conference. In the playoff picture, they currently sit 3 games behind the Milwaukee Bucks, the third place Milwaukee Bucks, and they sit half a game ahead of the fifth place New York Knicks, as the Celtics have won their last 4 games and 6 of their last 10 as a team as they enter the All-Star break. With this loss, the Toronto Raptors are 17-19, which is the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference. In the playoff picture, they sit half a game behind the seventh place Charlotte Hornets, and they in the 9th place Chicago Bulls now sit half a game ahead of the 10th place Indiana Pacers. To show you how close the bottom of the division is, as the Raptors have lost their last 2 games and they've also lost 5 of their last 10. Jumping out really quickly to Washington, D.C., the Washington Wizards hosted the Los Angeles Clippers right before going off to the All-Star weekend. And in this game, the Wizards would beat the Clippers 119-117 after outscoring the Clippers by 2 in the fourth quarter in order to pick up their 14th win of the season. For the Los Angeles Clippers, their goated small forward Kawhi Leonard would lead the team in scoring as he finished with 22 points, 5 rebounds and 3 assists, as well as 5 fouls in 32 minutes, as Kawhi Leonard shot 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. And for the Washington Wizards, their elite starting point guard Russell Westbrook would finish with 27 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists, and 4 steals in 36 minutes, as Westbrook shot 9 for 19 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 7 for 15 from the foul line. And the leading scorer for the Washington Wizards is the NBA's leading scorer, Bradley Beal, their elite starting shooting guard, who finished with 33 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes, as Beal shot 9 for 23 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 14 for 15 from the foul line. With this win, the Washington Wizards are now 14-20. That is the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They've won 7 of their last 10 as a team. Looking at where they are, they're currently sitting 2 games behind the 8th place Raptors on the outside of the playoff picture looking in, as they sit 9 full games behind the first place 76ers. With this loss, the Los Angeles Clippers are now holding the 4th best record in the Western Conference at 24-14. Within the playoff picture, they're sitting half a game behind the defending champs Los Angeles Lakers, and they're sitting a game and a half ahead of the 5th place Portland Trailblazers. The Clippers have lost their last 3 games. They've lost 6 of their last 10 as a team, and they currently sit 4 games behind the first place Utah Jazz when it comes to leading the Western Conference. Jumping out to New York City, the New York Knicks hosted the Detroit Pistons in Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks were able to pull off a 10-point win as they go into the All-Star break with a winning record on the season, especially after outscoring Detroit by 6 points in both the first and the third quarters of this game. And, of course, they outscored them by 7 in the second quarter. For the Detroit Pistons in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard, Wayne Ellington, who finished with 17 points in 38 minutes, shooting 6 for 14 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the line. And for the New York Knicks, their starting point guard, Elfrid Payton, would finish with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals in 35 minutes, as Payton shot 7 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, R.J. Barrett out of Duke, would finish with 21 points, 21 points and 5 assists, in 31 minutes. He shot 9 for 13 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. And the leading scorer for the New York Knicks is their newest all-star, starting power forward Julius Randle, who finished with 27 points, 16 rebounds, and 7 assists in 42 minutes, as Randle shot 11 for 19 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the New York Knicks are now 19-18 going into the All-Star break with a winning record, like I just said earlier. Within the playoff picture, they are now half a game behind the 4th place Boston Celtics, and they are also half a game ahead of the 6th place Miami Heat, as they have won 7 of their last 10 games as a team, and they are 5.5 games behind the 1st place Philadelphia 76ers. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are 10-26. They are currently sitting 7 games out of the playoff picture, as they currently hold the worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they have lost 7 of their last 10 as a team, and they also sit 14 full games behind the 1st place Philadelphia 76ers. Jumping out to Indianapolis, the Indiana Pacers hosted the Denver Nuggets, and in this game, the Nuggets would beat the Pacers 113-103, especially after outscoring Indiana by 10 in the second quarter, and it was relatively close other than the second quarter. But in this matchup for the Indiana Pacers, their starting small forward, Doug McDermott out of Creighton, would finish with 20 points and 3 steals in 30 minutes, as Doug McDermott shot 8 for 13 from the field, field and 4 for 7 from three. And the leading scorer for the Indiana Pacers would be their starting center and the league's leading blocker, Miles Turner, who finished with 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 38 minutes as he shot 9 for 14 from the field, 3 for 6 from three, and 1 for 5 from the foul line. For the Denver Nuggets in this matchup, their elite starting center, Nikola Jokic, would finish with 24 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 turnovers in 37 minutes, as the Joker shot 9 for 18 from the field, 1 for 2 from three, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, Jamal Murray, would finish with 23 points and 2 steals in 39 minutes, as Murray shot 8 for 15 from the field, 1 for 5 from three, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. And the leading scorer for the Denver Nuggets would be their third-year small forward out of Missouri, Michael Porter Jr., who finished with 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 steals in 38 minutes as he shot 9 for 14 from the field, 5 for 9 from three, and 1 for 2 from the line. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 21-15. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference. In the playoff picture, they are now sitting half a game behind the 5th place Portland Trailblazers, and they are now a full game ahead of the 7th place San Antonio Spurs. As the Nuggets have won their last 4 games, they've won 6 of their last 10. They are also sitting 6 full games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz. And with this loss, the Indiana Pacers are now 16-19, which is the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference. They are currently a game and a half outside, or they're currently half a game outside of the playoff picture, as they are sitting right behind the 8th place Toronto Raptors and the 9th place Chicago Bulls. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games, and they are currently sitting 7.5 games out of 1st place behind the Philadelphia 76ers. Jumping out to Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies hosted the Milwaukee Bucks, and thanks to a last-second pull-ahead game-winning shot by Drew Holiday, the Milwaukee Bucks would come away with a 112-111 win, picking up their 22nd win of the season. For the Memphis Grizzlies in this matchup, their starting shooting guard out of Oregon, Dylan Brooks, would finish with 23 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks in 35 minutes as Brooks shot 7 for 20 from the field, 1 for 6 from three, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the line. And the leading scorer for the Memphis Grizzlies would be their elite second-year starting point guard, John Morant, who finished with 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 39 minutes as John Morant shot 11 for 25 from the field, 3 for 13 from three, and 10 for 11 from the line. For the Milwaukee Bucks in this matchup, their starting small forward, Chris Middleton, would finish with 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals in 39 minutes as Middleton shot 6 for 17 from the field and a perfect 9 for 9 from the line. And the leading scorer for the Milwaukee Bucks would be their elite starting power forward, reigning back-to-back MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished with 26 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes as he shot 10 for 19 from the field, 1 for 1 from three, and 5 for 9 from the free throw line. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are now 22-14. That is the 3rd best record in the Eastern Conference. They are now sitting a game and a half behind the 2nd place Brooklyn Nets, and they are sitting 3 games ahead of the 4th place Boston Celtics in the playoff pictures. They have won 6 of their last 4 as a team, and they are now 2 full games behind the 1st place Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference. And then looking out west, with this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 16-16. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference. They are currently sitting a game out of the playoff picture behind the 8th place Dallas Mavericks, as they have lost 5 of their last 10. And they currently sit 9 full games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz out west. Jumping out to San Antonio, the San Antonio Spurs hosted the Oklahoma City Thunder, and after a fourth quarter where the Thunder outscored the Spurs by 8, the Thunder would end up beating the Spurs 107-102 to pick up their 15th win of the season. For the San Antonio Spurs, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan, who finished with 20 points and 6 rebounds in 36 minutes, shooting 8 for 21 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And for the Oklahoma City Thunder, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard out of Kentucky, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who finished with 33 points and 8 assists in 37 minutes as he shot 11 for 19 from the field, 2 for 4 from three, and 9 for 10 from the line. With this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 15-21, tied with the New Orleans Pelicans for the 4th worst record in the Western Conference. They are currently sitting 4 games outside of the playoff picture behind the 8th place Dallas Mavericks, and they've lost 6 of their last 10 as a team. They are currently also sitting 12 games behind the first place Utah Jazz out west to give a sense of where they are in the picture. Jumping out to Portland, the Portland Trailblazers hosted the Sacramento Kings, and in this one, the Trailblazers would beat the Kings 123-119 after outscoring the Kings by 5 points in the fourth quarter to come from behind and pick up the win. For the Kings in this matchup, they're starting shooting guard out of Oklahoma, Buddy Hield, but finished with 21 points and 6 rebounds in 37 minutes as he shot 8 for 17 from the field and 5 for 12 from 3. And the leading scorer would be their starting point guard, De'Aaron Fox, who finished with 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 12 assists in 39 minutes as he shot 12 for 26 from the field and 6 for 10 from the foul line. For the Portland Trailblazers in this matchup, their starting center, Enes Kanter, would finish with 22 points, 21 rebounds, 22 points and 21 rebounds in 34 minutes as he shot 11 for 15 from the field. Took no three-pointers, no free throws at all. And the leading scorer for the Portland Trailblazers would be their elite starting point guard, Damian Lillard, out of Weber State, who finished with 44 points and 7 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 13 for 26 from the field, 8 for 15 from 3, and a perfect 10 for 10 from the line as he had the best performance of the night. With this win, the Portland Trailblazers are now 21-14. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference. In the playoff picture, they are currently sitting a game and a half behind the 4th place Los Angeles Clippers, and they're also sitting half a game ahead of the 6th place Denver Nuggets. The Portland Trailblazers have won 3 straight games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They sit 5.5 games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz out west, and with this loss, the Sacramento Kings are now 14-22 as they hold the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference. They currently sit 5 games out of the playoff picture behind the 8th place Dallas Mavericks. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games, and they are now sitting 13 full games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz out west. And then last but not least, jumping out to Phoenix, the Phoenix Suns hosted the Golden State Warriors for the final game of the first half of the NBA season. And in this one, the Phoenix Suns would beat the Warriors 120-98 after outscoring the Warriors by 11 in the second half and also 11 in the first half after they outscored them by 11 in the first quarter. For the Golden State Warriors in this matchup, their leading scorer will come off the bench as their shooting guard Jordan Poole would finish with 26 points in 26 minutes, shooting 10 for 16 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the line, as of course Steph Curry did not play this game. And for the Phoenix Suns in this matchup, their elite starting point guard Chris Paul would finish with 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists in 21 minutes as he shot 3 for 26 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 2 for 2 from the line as he prepares himself for the All-Star weekend. And the leading scorer among the starters for the Phoenix Suns would be their elite starting shooting guard Devon Booker, who finished with 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 30 minutes as he shot 6 for 20 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the line as he preps for the All-Star weekend. The leading scorer for the Phoenix Suns would be their point guard off the bench, Cameron Payne, who finished with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 steals in 26 minutes as Cameron Payne shot 7 for 11 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the line. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are now 24-11. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference as we head off to the All-Star break. In the playoff picture, they are sitting 2.5 games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz, and they now sit 1 game ahead of the defending NBA champs, the Los Angeles Lakers. They have also won their last 4 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10 games as a team. And then with this loss, the Golden State Warriors are now 19-18. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference as they are sitting half a game out of the playoff picture behind the 8th place Dallas Mavericks. They sit 8.5 games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz as the Warriors have lost their last 3 games and 5 of their last 10. That's what the NBA is currently looking like. Those are the games from yesterday. And as we look forward to what's going on today, I think it'll be the Rising Stars game. I think that's how the NBA schedule works, but we will not see another NBA game until the All-Star game, which will be on Sunday, and it'll be between Team LeBron and, of course, Team Durant. So with that said, I'm going to jump out really quickly to what's going on with college basketball. Going down the list, first, second-ranked Michigan hosted unranked Michigan State, and in this one, the Wolverines would beat the Spartans 69-50 behind Franz Wagner's 19 points and 6 rebounds. With this win, second-ranked Michigan is 19-2 as they are 14-2 in the Big Ten. With this loss, Michigan State is 14-11 as they are 8-11 in the Big Ten. Third-ranked Baylor hosted 17th-ranked Oklahoma State as the Bears were able to beat the Cowboys 81-70 behind Jared Butler's 22 points and 5 assists. With this win, third-ranked Baylor is 20-1 as they are 12-1 in the Big 12. And with this loss, 17th-ranked Oklahoma State is 17-7 as they are 10-7 in the Big 12. Fifth-ranked Iowa hosted unranked Nebraska Iowa was able to beat Nebraska 102-64 behind Jordan Bohannon's 26 points. With this win, fifth-ranked Iowa is 19-7 as they are 13-6 in the Big 10. With this loss, unranked Nebraska is 7-18 as they are 3-15 in the Big 10. Sixth-ranked West Virginia hosted unranked TCU as West Virginia was able to pull off a 76-67 win after outscoring TCU by 14 in the first half. Jalen Bridges would lead the way for West Virginia as he scored 22 points and 12 rebounds. With this win, sixth-ranked West Virginia is now 18-7 and they are 11-5 in the Big 12. With this loss, unranked TCU is 12-12 as they are 5-10 in the Big 12. 13th-ranked Kansas hosted unranked UTEP, University of Texas El Paso, and in this game, Kansas would beat UTEP 67-62 after trailing by as much as 14 points in the first half. David McCormick would lead the way for Kansas. He had 18 points and 10 rebounds. With this win, 13th-ranked Kansas is 19-8 as they are 13-1 at home, and with this loss, University of Texas El Paso is 12-11 as they are 2-9 on the road. 16th-ranked Oklahoma hosted 15th-ranked Texas, and in this one, in the Red River rivalry on the basketball court, the Longhorns would pull off the 4-point win behind Jericho Sims' 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks. With this win, 15th-ranked Texas is now 16-7 as they are 10-6 in the Big 12, and with this loss, 16th-ranked Oklahoma is 14-9 as they are 9-8 in the Big 12. 18th-ranked Texas Tech hosted unranked Iowa State, and in this matchup, the Red Raiders would beat the Cyclones 81-54 behind Marcus Santos. He would finish with 14 points and 7 rebounds. With this win, 18th-ranked Texas Tech is 17-8 as they are 9-7 in the Big 12. With this loss, unranked Iowa State is 2-20 as they are 0-17 in the Big 12. And then last but not least, 24th-ranked Colorado hosted unranked Arizona State as McKinley Wright IV would lead Colorado to a 14-point win, a 75-61 win, as he had 24 points for himself. With this win, 24th-ranked Colorado is 20-7 as they are 14-6 in the Pac-12. With this loss, unranked Arizona State is 10-12 as they are 7-9 in the Pac-12. I'm looking out to what's going on today with college basketball. The only ranked team that is playing, it will be 20th-ranked Loyola Chicago as they host unranked Southern Illinois at noon today on ESPN+. Staying within the arena, but of course jumping to the ice, jumping to the NHL, there were actually two big hat tricks today. I'm going to go down them really quickly before I really get into it. Starting in the Eastern Division, the New York Rangers were able to beat the New Jersey Devils 6-1. Their first 3 goals would come from their left winger Chris Kreider as he finished with his second hat trick of the season. As the New York Rangers picked up their 19th win of the season, they are now sitting with the 6th best record in the Eastern Division as they sit 9 full points in the table behind the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders. And the other hat trick of the day came from Daniel Dubé, the starting center for the Calgary Flames. They were able to beat the Ottawa Senators 7-3 to pick up their 11th win in the North Division. With this win in the North Division, the Calgary Flames now currently sit with the 5th best standing in the division as they sit at 14 full points behind the first place Toronto Maple Leafs. Staying out north, the Vancouver Canucks were able to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-1 as their right winger Bertanen finished with 2 goals of his own. With their 10th win of the season, the Vancouver Canucks are now sitting second from the bottom as they trail the first place Toronto Maple Leafs by 16 points in the table. And of course, jumping out to Montreal, the Canadiens hosted the Jets, and the Jets would pull off a 4-3 overtime win. As Stastny would finish with 2 goals of himself, and Dubois would he would have a goal for himself. With their 15th win of the season, the Winnipeg Jets are now sitting second in the North Division as they trail the first place Toronto Maple Leafs by 7 points in the table. Jumping back out east, going on to see what's going on alongside the Rangers hat trick. The Philadelphia Flyers went to Pittsburgh and were able to pull off a 4-3 win after coming back from being down 3-1 at the end of the first period. Giroux would lead the way for Philly as he finished with 2 goals and an assist as they picked up their 12th win of the season. With this win, the Philadelphia Flyers now hold on to the third best record in the East Division, tied with the Bruins, as they now trail the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders by 3 points in the table. And then the New York Islanders hosted the Buffalo Sabres and were able to pull off a 5-2 win after scoring 2 goals in both the first and third periods. Their left winger Martin would finish with 2 goals of his own. With their 13th win of the season, the Islanders are tied at the top of the table with the Washington Capitals with 30 points in the table, as they have won their last 3 games as a team. And then jumping out to the Central Division, the Carolina Hurricanes hosted the Detroit Red Wings as they were able to pull off a 5-2 win behind Jordan Stahl's goal and 2 assists. With their 16th win of the season, the Carolina Hurricanes are tied at the top of the table with the Tampa Bay Lightning as they both sit 1 game ahead of the Florida Panthers. Speaking of the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Lightning were able to beat the Blackhawks in Chicago in overtime. The left winger Killorn would finish with a goal and an assist as the Lightning picked up their 16th win of the season. Like I just said, they're tied at the very top of the table with the Hurricanes with 33 points in the table, as the Lightning have actually played 2 less games and they are currently on a 6-game winning streak. And then the Florida Panthers were able to beat the Nashville Predators in Nashville 5-4, and their defender Ekblad would finish with 2 goals and 2 assists of his own with their 14th win of the season. The Panthers are sitting third in the Central Division as they trail the Hurricanes and Lightning by a point each in the table. And then jumping out to Dallas, the Dallas Stars hosted the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets would come out on top 3-2 as both teams scored 2 goals in the third period. With their 10th win of the season, the Columbus Blue Jackets are now sitting 5th in the Central Division as they trail the first place the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Carolina Hurricanes by 8 total points in the table. And then jumping out, I think those were all the games that actually happened yesterday, as there were no Western Conference games. Looking forward to what's going on today, at least going through the primetime matchups. At 8 o'clock, the Chicago Blackhawks are going to host the Tampa Bay Lightning on ESPN+. And then at 9 o'clock, the Los Angeles Kings are going to host the St. Louis Blues on ESPN+, as all the teams in the Western Division are going to face off against one another. And then last but not least, jumping out to the international circuit to give you a glimpse into what's going on in the world of soccer. Starting off with yesterday's games, because today's Friday, it's kind of that weird in-between moment transitioning from the middle of the week to the weekend. Starting in the Premier League, Tottenham Hotspur was able to beat Fulham off of a 19th minute own goal. With this win, Tottenham still sits 8th in the table as they currently trail 7th place Liverpool by a point with 1 less game played in the Premier League. And then speaking of Liverpool hosted Chelsea, and Chelsea was able to pull off a 1-0 win as Mount would score in the 42nd minute to give Chelsea the 3 points they needed. With this win, Chelsea is now sitting 4th in the Premier League as they trail 3rd place Leicester City by 3 points, and they now sit 1 point over Everton, who's played 1 less game, and Everton sitting now where they are because they beat West Brom by a goal, and now they currently sit with the 5th best record, and temporarily and mathematically they very well could pass Chelsea to regain that 4th spot, but as of right now, Chelsea's now holding that spot for themselves. And then in Serie A, Inter Milan was able to beat Parma 2-1, both of their goals coming from Alexis Sanchez in the 54th and the 62nd minute. Looking at where they stand in Serie A, they now sit at the very top as they now sit 6 points over second place AC Milan. AC Milan was leading the Serie A for most of the season, and now Inter has a 2-game lead over them as they transition into the latter part, the twilight of the season. But it was a good game by Inter to at least create separation in the table and take advantage of the fact that AC Milan did not win their last game. And, of course, looking forward to today's a couple games. I mean, Schalke's going to host Mainz in the Bundesliga, and Valencia's going to host Villarreal, but no real big soccer matchups to look forward to. And with that said, I want to hope all is well. Once again, today is Friday, March 5th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. Even though there's no basketball that's going to be played over the weekend, I'm still going to provide episodes. I'm just not going to write down who the best NBA performer was of the day. I'm just going to spiel over what's going on in the day. But with that said, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to all 29 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well, and I will get back to you tomorrow on Saturday, March 6th, 2021, with everything that's going on tomorrow once everything is done today. Once again, I want to thank you all once again. I'm James Sims. This is The Elite. Thanks for navigating the world of sports with me. I hope all is well, and I will catch you tomorrow with a new piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.